This is college football at its absolute best.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
I love it, baby.
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. McGrath for the win.
He got it.
If you don't like college football and you watch this one, I'm not sure what your problem is.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Wednesday, May 1st, episode 558. Good to have you guys in here a day early. Once again, many reasons. One being Tennessee's playing tomorrow, so why not? I'm excited though. It's an exciting one. Get to talk a little football. Big transfer. I mean that literally.
Big.
And then baseball's headed to Florida. Big series. Just a lot of bigs, man.
Yeah, we like the big foreign types, right?
Apparently so. Listen, for a lot of reasons.
Rick Barnes has a type.
He may, yeah. He may. I feel like he just really likes having difficult to pronounce names on his roster. Or I guess they're not really all that difficult, but they're just weird. And weird. They're foreign. You get it.
Difficult to say.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've got it. I think got it down the Croatian from Charlotte, Igor Milicic. That's how he said it. He is a junior, which I feel like is strange. Only I wonder when he got the junior attached on instead of the second. Because I feel like if you see a European that is a junior, in fact, a junior, they're usually the second.
Do you think they just like Americanized him and just start calling him junior?
Like, hey, brother, we'll put junior on the jersey. Not doing that Roman numeral crap.
Yeah. Which junior looks smaller anyway.
Really? I'm a fan of the Roman numerals.
Well, I feel like you can be like, I don't know, the second makes me think of like the Pope.
I think of, I guess along those same lines, royalty or just yes, regal, but also just
junior. I feel like is an athletic name. You can be like anything from like a football player, lacrosse to NASCAR. Like junior works for all of it.
Definitely more juniors than first, seconds, thirds, all that.
Yeah. Calling
yourself the first two also is very cool. And what football player was it that had a kid and put senior on it? That's a flex. Like that's the I just had sex flex.
Yeah.
Well, several months ago I had sex and now I'm a senior.
Yeah. Well, way to tell everybody that you had a baby. Is that like just?
I guess.
I'm gonna be a dad kind of thing.
Yeah. But okay, so tell me this. You wouldn't want to be like a fourth if you were Landon Raby.
See, I would want to be I think a second is not that cool. I think a fourth is cool.
Okay. All right.
I think the higher the number, the cooler it is.
What's a fourth nickname? Trey's a nickname for third.
Quad?
You know? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know.
Quad isn't that cool.
I'm sure there's someone we know that we don't know their real name. We call them by this name. That's a fourth.
Quattro.
Maybe. Oh, that's kind of sick. Kind of cool. Yeah, I think that's. I don't think my name's cool enough to carry legacies or anything, but I would like to be a junior. A little late for that, so I'll settle for a first.
Yeah, I'm cool with being. Actually, I might just.
I guess I don't need a child to be Josh Caleb Mitchell the first
or senior.
I think you need a child to be a senior, though, right?
I
Or
don't
someone
know.
to be your junior.
Man,
I'm just gonna start calling myself the first.
Okay.
Oh, you have a son? Is the second? Nope.
Numeral 1.
Yeah, I do. I do not. What's this I on the back of your name? Don't worry about it. He comes from a basketball family. I don't know his dad's name, so I don't know if he's named after his dad, his grandfather, or what.
I think it
His
is
dad's
also Igor.
It is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, he's a championship coach. I think it said in Poland. I read.
Yes, he's the Polish national team coach, I think.
Oh well, I'm calling bullcrap on championships. What have they won?
Obviously the Polish national championship.
I guess. I mean, you mean like he's the national team coach, though? Is that what you're saying?
I could be wrong. I thought I read that. Maybe I didn't.
His Charlotte bio said that his brothers were highly touted prospects. So again, don't know if that's true, but we'll roll with it.
Could we get like the Joker's brothers in Thompson Bowling?
I mean, I guess when they're with you, you kind of like it, but I'm gonna go. Please don't. But I mean, I guess sure. If I don't know, that's tough. That's a tough one.
I don't know. Just a big get because of what you lost with Jonas and Owaka going to Arkansas. We'll talk about that in a second. Owaka going to Arizona. I think this is like as good of a couple pickups to replace those guys as probably you'd like. I mean, I feel like with Igor, like he looks like he's a 6'10", 225 foreign guy. It seems like he's more of a shooter.
Yeah. Career 39%, I think.
30
something around that. 37 maybe.
Yeah, he shot 37.6 last season. 48.7 from the field, 12 points per game. I mean, when I see that, I think of shooter, but he also averaged 8 rebounds. Now, I know that's a different level than Tennessee, but 8.5 rebounds, that plays. So I'm excited for that. I don't think he's just like a pop and shoot guy. Like I feel like he can hold his own in the paint. Obviously,
I don't
it
think
is different, but 8.5 rebounds. I think 1.1 blocks per game. I think he's a pretty solid big in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think Rick Barnes would get a 6'10" guy who's not willing to go in and get rebound. Like he's not going to play him on the perimeter. But I know this is going to shock you, Landon. But if you can shoot, you can shoot, and we've seen that he lets guys who are career good fire away.
Yeah, he's going to be
when they're cold.
A tough matchup because who are you going to put on him if he's out there shooting on the perimeter? You got to put, 6'6", 6'7" guy on him. But if he's down low, you going to keep that 6'6", 6'7" guy on him?
Hey, I'm not saying we're going to see this for 40 minutes, but I just need you to. This is how much kind of weird and fun the transfer portal is. 2 weeks ago, we're here working out a guard lineup. We were like, all right, what's our 4-1 look like? What's our outside? There is going to be a time and place where Tennessee has Felix Okpara and Igor Milicic in the game at the same time. Milicic.
Just one chich.
No, it's two itches. Milicic.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
2 of them. You itching twice. But anyways, there's going to be times where we have 2 guys 6'10". Or I guess what's Felix? He's 6'9"?
No, he's 7 foot.
Is he taller?
6'11".
Oh, okay. Perfect. Even better. But you have 2 guys that are 6'10" on the court. And one of them you're going to have to defend 25 feet out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how often that lineup's going to happen. It's going to happen, though. And I'm excited for it.
Well, I feel like Felix is a true center, whereas
right.
Milicic is a power forward. So, I mean, he's a 4. He's a true 4, I think, with him being able to shoot the ball. So, I mean, I guess you could play.
I haven't watched enough. I don't know how he plays traditionally. Obviously, you look at the box scores and they tell you, yeah, he can play on the wing at least to shoot. I don't know where he stands as far as a ball handler. I know he's listed as a center at Charlotte.
Oh, is he?
Or he was listed in the transfer portal at the center. I thought he was at Charlotte as well. I may have scanned over that.
Okay.
Oh, here I have it right here in front of me. He was listed as a forward at Charlotte. Okay.
Okay.
So that tells a lot. But yeah, I mean, depending, I think, on how much, because you look at the SEC and how those lineups look, can he defend most 4s that he's going to face? That's why I don't think you see him on the court at the same time for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But it depends. I mean, if his defense is there, then that's a different story. And that's something, again, that I would love. I would love it for 3 minutes a game, let alone.
And also, if, one of those guys is in foul trouble, you still have Cade Phillips and JP Estrella another year in the program, another year better, another year in the college weight room. I think that's going to be huge. Whereas last year, yeah, you could play JP some, but there wasn't full trust in him to go in there and do things. Now, I think he did fine, but he was definitely a freshman on the court. Whereas next year, I think, he's definitely – there's definitely going to be he's going to be your first guy off the bench probably with a post player.
Yeah, I would think.
Or does he take that big of a step where one of these guys that you got in the portal is coming off the bench first? I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing either way. Because
there is a good discussion. Like you have options. We saw obviously a lot of improvement from JP Estrella. I'd be shocked if you go with 2 bigs and it's not the 2 you just got in the portal. That would shock me if your starting lineup's 2 bigs.
Yeah.
And again, I think there's going to be nights where you look at the matchup and you do start them. Mm-hmm. I just think about the teams we faced this year. It's like, man, it paid off to have Josiah Jordan-James.
Yeah. Well, and if you can truly go 2 bigs, Igor is going to be he's going to be a guy that has to defend the perimeter as well. Just like somebody's going to have to guard him down low. He's got to be able to hold his own defending that perimeter if he's going to be out there with a Felix or a JP.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Regardless, I mean, however it shakes out, very, very exciting get. First off, before I knew anything about him, I didn't know any. I just knew his name was Igor. I'm like, just take him. I don't need to see him. Yeah. Just get an Igor on this roster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good pickup. I in fact saw what was it? I mean, just 3 years ago, our fans wouldn't shut up about how we don't shoot the 3 enough. I saw a post the other day about how if Rick Barnes wants to continue just, shooting the 3 at will, he's going to have to go out, blah, 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 which I thought was very interesting. I'm like, but until probably 2 years ago, I wouldn't have pegged a Rick Barnes team as a live and die by the 3. And I still don't think they are, but it's interesting that was a take. And I still think you need to add some 3-point prowess, but getting a 4 that can do it at a high rate is massive for a team that does want to shoot the 3.
Yeah. I mean, Rick has adapted a lot. And he still likes the mid-range, but if you're open, shoot it.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it doesn't work out and it feels like we can't throw it in the ocean, but I feel like you have good enough shooters where most of your guys shooting 3 should have the green light.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, when I say that about our crazy fans, I understand they're not, and it's going to go into stupidity later. I understand that our fans are not any crazier, and myself, I'm not any crazier than other fans. I just see a lot of it. Fans are fun.
They're a blast. Especially if you're Corey from LSU. He's a blast.
Yeah. There were some meltdowns last night that I was excited to watch unfold.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm glad I stayed off social media a lot last night because I only got fired up. All right, let's so transfer portal, I guess like your next step is Chaz Lanier. Obviously really good player, going to go through the NBA draft process, probably not anywhere close. I think the last day that the end of May is like the last day where you can drop and go back to college. So it could be a little bit before you actually hear that one. But I mean, Tennessee should be right in the thick of things there. And then a little freshman, I guess. Point guard out of Fairfax, Virginia, that's currently signed with Rhode Island, is I think got out of his letter of intent, and is supposed to take a official visit to Tennessee this weekend, and that is point guard Ben Hammond. It's funny that you're talking
so
about.
He's from Fairfax. Is he white?
No, he's not. No.
Okay. Wow. He's from Fairfax, Virginia, and his name's Ben Hammond. I would have guessed white 10 times out of 10.
He is V1, is that 5 or 4?
That's a V1 or 1V?
V1.
Sixth. He's a
sixth.
So he's Ben Hammond the sixth?
No.
Okay.
He went to
Paul. I was like, he's
Paul
a sixth
Catholic.
Okay. Pope John Paul VI, Catholic high school.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you're telling me this guy's name is Ben Hammond the sixth? He's a sixth from Fairfax, Virginia. White. I mean, that has white all over it.
Yeah. 5'11", 165, picked Rhode Island over College of Charleston, George Mason.
Wow.
Has really, since he signed back in November, has really gone up in the rankings and been noticed. And I think that was I don't know. I think there was a coaching change at Rhode Island, so that's why he was able to get out of it. But he's kind of blown up a little bit since then and is going to take an official visit. I think that's going to be perfect for him and Zakai just going at it at practice. Both guys around the same size. And
okay. We talk about him. Zakai not even being 5'9". You just put him at 5'11"?
The under 6 foot crew.
Okay, all right, that's fair. I'm like, this guy's getting tall. He's still growing.
That's true.
It's a growing boy. I love Zakai, by the way. That is not a short kings. Not a bash.
Yeah, I mean, we can call him short, but he's the same height as me, I think. Allegedly. Yeah, he's 5.
They haven't listed at 5'9".
Okay, so I'm 5'10". I'm a little
taller than 5. You're just 5'10".
Yeah,
I would have thought you were taller than that.
Thanks. I look good in shorts and shoes,
long legs.
Yeah. But yeah, I think a backup point guard is something that you needed on this roster. And
I mean, obviously you want to contribute him later in
the but
right.
Not
well. With him being a freshman, I don't know how much he impacts it. We do know Zakai can at least be an Iron Man and go for 40 minutes when it matters, but you don't want that throughout SEC play. But I mean, Rick played freshman at weird times this year, so who knows? Not for long, but
yeah.
No, I mean, this is an exciting basketball roster that's been pieced together after. I just wrote in my notes today the portal giveth. So the portal had taketh in for a while there, and it is now giveth, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, let's talk about the taketh. Let's talk about Jonas. Let's start with Jonas.
Well, this is kind of going to go into it as well because we'll talk about Jonas's coach as well. I don't know where this came from. I got sent a screenshot. Have you seen the offensive efficiency leaders during the 2023-2024 season? Have you seen the top 5 or top 4?
Mm-hmm.
So number 1's Chaz Lanier. 2 is Antonio Reeves out of Kentucky. 3 is Zach Edey, Purdue. And then 4 is Darlington Dubar, who is now a Tennessee player. If you get Chaz Lanier, I mean, that's efficiency. But so that's big. That's a big thing for Tennessee. Want to lead that off, but I also would like to know
if we land Lanier. I mean, we're talking natty. I mean, we're back in it.
we're already in the Final Four. Why not?
Yeah.
We were in the Final Four before we had Igor. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
we're playing for the national championship now. But I just see you as you go and mention Jonas. I still think the Cal to Arkansas move is quite funny. And you know, I know Antonio Reeves is there at number 2 in efficiency, and I see that they had a good offense this year, sure. But I mean, you got to cut Cal a break. It's not like he was coaching at UConn. It's Kentucky. They're a football school. Give him a break. He had no chance of winning championships there.
Mm-hmm.
So I get the move to Arkansas. I get it.
It's hard to recruit at Kentucky.
Honestly, I mean, give him a break. I think everyone needs to give him a break. Rupp was in disrepair. I mean,
well, now they've landed they've had to replace their whole roster out of the transfer portal, and now everybody's all in on Mark Pope.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we'll see.
From a basketball perspective, I get everyone else's opinion of Mark Pope, and I mean my opinion, I should say. If I'm a Kentucky fan, I'm telling you right. If I'm a Tennessee fan and we brought back a former coach that had a national championship and he gets off the bus inside the arena holding one up, I mean, like, sign me up. I don't care.
No, yeah. But we're going to
just, like, from a fan perspective. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. But yeah, Jonas to Arkansas. I mean, I feel like I saw that coming, especially when he got tied to Kentucky pretty early on. Doesn't surprise me. I should say, I don't know if I saw it coming, but it doesn't surprise me.
Well, I mean, that's one thing that I want to kind of just point out to Jonas Aidoo is, like, just remember, like, all those recruits from
Tell Steven I said hey.
Yeah, that was actually not Steven.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, somebody different this time. All those recruits that were recruited to Kentucky the same time that he came out of high school, all those blue bloods that kind of passed him up. And he ends up going to Tennessee as kind of a late addition there. And now he goes to Cal, who didn't even think to recruit him at Kentucky when, you know, he was coming out of Durham, North Carolina. Yeah, I just think that's funny.
Well, I mean, maybe you can tell me, because I'm at a loss for words. What big man has had just the go-ahead green light from Cal to just rip it from deep?
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Jonas, if you can't shed a – first off, if Jonas Aidoo steps out to the three-point line, right now I'm backing off of him. Let him shoot.
Yeah.
If he magically can shoot 35%, well, I also know he's not fast. So I'm going to step up and I'm going to play tight defense on him. He's not getting around me. So, like, the thing about it is all frustrating for me is that his reasoning for leaving Tennessee, you don't need to give a reason, whatever. But your reasoning, it was dumb. It's dumb. We'll get into that too. I mean, I'll get into that with some stupidities on, like, I don't necessarily disagree with you leaving Tennessee, whatever. Do your thing, whatever you think is better for you. But just why did your people say that? Why did someone roll with that? I don't know. And if it's a reporter, I would come out and be like, that's just not true. If it was a false report. But then you let that rumor float and you go to a guy who has no proven record to allow that. And then also, like, there's so much about that is in your personal game. It just doesn't make sense. Whatever. You know. Do your thing. No big deal. No big sweat. I think it doesn't make sense. I was a big fan of Jonas Aidoo. So I'm saying this as a fan of him, that I don't see it. It rings there's just a lot of reminders, and he's not he wasn't as prolific as this guy, but Jalen Hurd. You just seem like the people closest to you are giving you bad advice.
Yeah.
That's
a good comparison there. I think they are kind of similar, and, like, kind of had, like, everything was good until it was, you had a couple.
So you thought you needed more.
Things happen. Yeah, a little adversity hit, and then it was out the door.
And I think Jalen Hurts' situation, I'll give him a little bit of credit to this. I get why he was, why it made sense for a few reasons. One of those being injuries. I get it, but at the same time, it's one of those that you don't end up in the NFL anyways.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame. Football is such a physical sport, and it's hard to stay healthy. I don't necessarily like blame him for that line of thinking. I get it. But if it's also, there was at first the reason leaving Tennessee was they weren't running enough of the I formation. You weren't lined up behind the quarterback enough like you would be in the NFL, which now is not true at all. That now this Tennessee offense is different. I'm talking about Butch Jones's Tennessee offense, but which wasn't under center either. But I just mean in the way it's with the running back and their responsibilities and duties. But yeah, just that's how it started. You leave in Tennessee, and then it's like, well, I wanted to play wide receiver, and they wouldn't let me. And then you play wide receiver Baylor. It doesn't go well by any means. Just bad advice. And I'm not saying that the bad advice was necessarily leaving Tennessee. I'm saying the bad advice was your reasons for leaving Tennessee. And this rings true with Jonas Adu, I think, as well.
Yeah, I just don't get kind of the whole thing. Again, I mean, this program developed you into a all SEC player, and then you dip and go to a coach that, I mean, when you go to Tennessee, you're sworn to hate Kentucky, anything about Kentucky.
Yeah, and
so
I think
you go play for that.
That's where like the fans and players, especially this, like we talked about a little bit. I think the polling would be similar for guys that stick around 4 years, but I do think things have changed. That you just don't have those rivalries.
Yeah. And it would also be different if he was here for like a year. But I mean, he was here for 3 years, so I don't know. Just a weird.
Good luck, I guess. I will
situation.
talk trash about you when we play Arkansas, and
yeah,
you can hate that, but don't go play for an opposing team. I guess we haven't gotten the SEC schedule, but it should be right. Have we got? I don't think we've gotten.
If we play them, it should be at home.
Yes, if we play. Yeah, I think that's a good way to say it because we don't know with the new scheduling.
Right.
So, yeah. Yep.
And then Awaka goes to Arizona. I mean,
that would have been a nice trade.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He's
in the same. I said when he left, or when it was being rumored, people like, you think Awaka's leaving? I'm like, if he leaves, if he wants to stay at the same level, he's gonna go to the same situation. So again, doesn't make sense. If he wants to go to a lower, and I'm not saying a team that's not good, but a team that's not gonna contend for in the NCAA tournament or in the national championship, then that's fine. And then he could be the starter. But if it's the same level as Tennessee, it's gonna be the same situation.
Yeah, and if he goes there and he's fouling out, he's not going to start anymore. They can't afford to start you and play you through that first TV timeout, and then you have 2 fouls midway through the first half. I mean, they're just not going to start you. So again, yeah, kind of like you said, going to be in the same situation. Hopefully it works out. I just think all that stuff is like, oh, he hasn't made up his mind. He could come back. I guess he could have come back, but the time where Jonas was in the portal and then Awaka immediately went in there thinking didn't really know Jonas was going in there yet. That's when he should have been like, okay, I'm coming back. When he didn't, I feel like that was kind of the writing on the wall that like, oh, he likes to be courted. Everybody does. Wants to take visits, wants to go through that process, wants to hear how much he's worth, and then, you pick from there. I feel like there was kind of – it feels like once you're in the portal, there's not many that come back out of it to the same school. It doesn't happen very often. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I agree with you. It feels like when the portal first started, you saw it more often, and now it feels very rare that you see a player come back. And I think part of that too is that the portal's become more popular. That now the moment a player hits, coaches can go to the portal. They have a free scholarship without having to send a guy packing and go get potentially a better, especially places like, any SEC school, you can go in and probably get a better player. So why do you care? So that all of a sudden that scholarship's not available.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's two elements to it, but yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, but like what Tennessee's got out of the portal so far, still a little ways to go. I think you have 3 open spots left. So we'll see if Chaz Lanier in the next couple of weeks, if that's one of them, and then hopefully he can land this point guard and Ben Hammond, and you got one more spot to kind of see where you're at, what you need. Maybe it's a development player, who knows?
Right.
But it seems like Tennessee's roster is really coming together with these portal additions.
Yeah, I'm pleased where it's at. Again, it's one of those. It's like still maybe have some question marks, and I don't mean that in a negative or bad way, but still maybe some question marks. But if you add Chaz Lanier, I'm pretty confident that I'll be too fired up, if you will. I might start surfing for some tickets.
Yeah, there you go. Should be able to score.
He should. And you gotta kind of hope that Rick Barnes defense plays, or Rick Barnes team plays defense. I did want to check and make sure I had this right. 2025 Final Four is in San Antonio. That's a pretty quick drive from Houston. So
book it.
Ross Kivett, I know you're listening. Get the guest rooms ready.
Book it. Breaking news. I found my wedding ring. I left it at the golf course in the cup holder.
So you didn't find it.
I did
You've
not
located it.
It has been found.
Good.
So shout out to Guarani Farms, sponsor of the bat flip, and our boy Nick Allen.
Oh, Nick found it?
Yeah.
Did you play golf again today?
Yeah.
Jeez, dude. Are you working this week?
After work, dude. Nothing but golf. Got off the hole 9 at 7:33 and got here by 8. We're all in.
What time did y'all play?
5:30.
I just don't get invited to play golf anymore.
We had 4. I was the last.
Never stopped us before?
I was the 4th one.
I stand by my statement.
I was the 4th one.
I stand by my statement. Let's talk a little football. We just maybe stay on basketball for a
little bit.
Good minute.
Do you have a good friend to tell us about?
Yeah, let me tell you guys about Grade A Grounds. Grade A Grounds. I'm going to get into some wins with Grade A Grounds. You count them. You tell me how many wins it is, because I'll lose track. Grade A Grounds is a local coffee roasting company in Kingsport, Tennessee. Local to East Tennessee. Ran by 2 educators in the Johnson City area who their goal is obviously to make great coffee, but they also want to support their community and the students in that community. So in doing so, they give back to a charity called Coalition for Kids. That money goes directly towards keeping a classroom at Coalition for Kids stocked with the necessary supplies needed for students. So great coffee, and then every purchase of that coffee, 5% of those sales are going to that nonprofit organization. It's great stuff. You'll see great labels made by the kids in these classrooms showing off their artistic talents. So you got a good little talking piece when you're making coffee for those guests when they're over. Grade A Grounds, some of my favorite coffee. Beers for Blueberry is my favorite. Make sure you guys go check them out. Promo code GOVOLS. I don't know if the capitalization matters, but capital G, capital V. Go Vols. Grade A Grounds. Shout out. I think that was like 6 wins. So
do it.
More than football, I hope. Or less than football, I hope.
Yeah. So SEC Unfiltered had a kind of scenario for Tennessee, and kind of want to get your take on it, and also anybody else who wants to chime in here. But it says 2024 best case and worst case scenarios for Tennessee football. It has a 2024 record, best case 10-2, worst case 8-4.
I mean, that's about where I land. I think best case, I think best case ceiling's 11-1.
Yeah.
I have some hesitations, and I want to say almost realistically for a few reasons, 10-2. But I even think so. I don't necessarily disagree with that graphic, but I would almost say, and this feels weird and feels wrong. And initially, I went and counted. I said 8-4 because I counted Florida as a swing game, and I said no, you should beat Florida this year. Your floor really should be 9-3.
Yeah, I just think there is games where a slip up could happen.
And that's where so I'm not trying to dog Josh Heupel. This is kind of from an outsider perspective, what I think could be said. And I don't necessarily disagree with all these points, but when you look at this Tennessee team starting in 2021, I'm not saying you should have won Pitt. You had a really good chance, and it's at home, and maybe you should have, but they had a first-round quarterback. That's your first year. You lost a starting quarterback. And I'm obviously in the long term, it worked out better, but short term, you never want to lose a starting quarterback in a game.
Right.
So Pitt game, you don't win. Home, tough, close game, but you don't win it. Then you also have the Ole Miss loss, which I think in the grand scheme of things, you should have won for a variety of reasons, excuse me. And then you have that Purdue loss too, which is never good. How it looks, obviously, again, for a variety of reasons. 2022, your only slip up is South Carolina, but that is an ugly mark on your record.
Mm-hmm.
An ugly one. I think that's more than a slip up, honestly, but digress. It's a loss that shouldn't have happened. 2023, Florida, especially looking back, you never should have lost that game. And then I'm not saying you shouldn't have lost this game, because I think, and we knew this by the time we played them, but even looking back now, you go, Missouri was a really good football team, but it was more so the performance in that game that you're like, whoa, that makes you think. So every year, and I don't think this is even exclusive to Josh Heupel, there's been slip-ups that shouldn't happen, whether that means they shouldn't have lost the game or should have just had a better chance to win it. I don't know. I do still feel like, looking at the teams, what we know about them now, I really believe that 9-3 is pretty dang close to your floor. I'm with you on the 8. Like, I think 8-4 is absolutely reasonable. I think we'd be looking back at 8-4 and go, kind of disappointing.
Yeah. And depending on what happens those first, I would say 2 to 4 weeks, Tennessee could only be an underdog in one game next year.
Yeah. Potentially. I mean, you bring Alabama to Neyland, that's huge. I mark that as a loss for now.
Yeah. Oklahoma would be, maybe Oklahoma, depending on what they look like, but
I think you probably
close.
That early. I haven't looked at the early going for Oklahoma's schedule. That early, I would say that's going to be pretty close to a pick'em game.
I think they play
Tulane. And then they get the home field advantage.
Yeah.
So they probably get favored in that matchup more than likely. But I think it'd be pretty close. I'd be surprised to see Tennessee be an underdog or to be the favored team in that. So I think probably 2 games you're looking like, again, depending on how it all starts and shakes out. I'd feel a lot better if I knew more about this defense, if I trusted this secondary especially. And then this is not a knock on Nico, but he is going to be a first time, or I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not counting Iowa. Same reason I'm not knocking too hard on that Purdue loss. I'm not going to really count Iowa. Great to see him do that, but he's got a season to kind of really prove it. And right now you have a new quarterback coming in, a young quarterback.
Yeah. It's I think so much rest on staying healthy, number one, but that's always the case. Yeah. But that secondary.
Yeah, I agree.
If it can just be serviceable or okay, I mean, I think your ceiling and floor is a lot different.
Yeah, and by the way, I have way more questions for our secondary than I do about Nico.
Yeah.
Just to be clear about that.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you think it's more athletic, but also there's I mean, there's not one proven guy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Jermod
makes it
McCoy
tough.
had a really good year at Oregon State, but he's not proven in the SEC.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be some things that help that secondary, but similar things that helped him last year. I think your linebackers get stronger, and I think your front seven as a whole, but really your pass rush is going to be
help
just as good, if not better, than last year. So that's going to help take some pressure off. But yeah, they have a massive task ahead of them to change the outlook of this team, and they definitely determine a lot for me. I think looking back at last year, I think we kind of talked about it. I don't know if we necessarily put a tag on it, but last year was just kind of like there was nothing. You kind of finished how you should have. Not necessarily should have, but like you expected. It could have been worse, could have been better. It was just very not underwhelming, just whelming. I don't know. Like it was just like, nah, we're doing this.
You didn't win any game that you
really shouldn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even I don't want to have a season
even like the close ones, like the swing games. You didn't really win any of those.
No, and so I think
was Kentucky a swing game? Maybe, and they could be this year. I don't know what Kentucky looks like. They got a new quarterback every single year, so who knows what Brock Vandagriff does. They are Kentucky. They are coming to Neyland. So I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah, and
as long as our secondary is fine.
Right. Yeah, and that Kentucky-Florida, you do bring Florida to Neyland. I don't feel, I think they're still like that kind of that Florida monkey, and I'm not saying, anybody's wrong about this.
They're a bad football team.
Right. What I was going to say is, we heard Juice come on the week of, and we talked about kind of that Florida monkey, and just knowing that they kind of have your number. Is that in your head? And he said no, and I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just not entirely convinced that's not true with the way you've lost some of these Florida games in recent history, including last year's.
Yeah.
I do think that monkey gets a little bit lighter bringing them to Neyland. You beat them at Neyland the year before. You beat them in 16 at Neyland, but I think that for whatever reason, that Florida monkey exists. And that'll be a news headline, I'm sure, here soon. Florida man eaten by a monkey on bath salts. I don't know. You make it up. It'll happen for sure. But that's one that I'm just like, I don't know if I can count it as a win, even though it absolutely should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the game is like, if you're able to go undefeated through Florida, I mean, 10-2 is on the table, and that should be more than enough to get you in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go. Yeah, I mean, I think if you go undefeated, you said through Florida, I guess, still got to go on the road to Arkansas. I think you should beat them. It is a SEC road game.
That'd be before Florida.
Oh, it is before that Florida. Yeah, which is weird that Florida's in October this year. Okay, yeah, so Florida's right before Alabama. Yeah, I was about to say you're undefeated going into Alabama was going to be my next point. I mean, I feel really good about that game in Neyland, I'm sure.
And if you beat Alabama, I mean, what? Yeah, the Georgia game I feel like is big and like, yeah, you want to beat them, but it's also like all the pressure should be on them. I mean, we shouldn't have any pressure because all you got to do is you can lose to Georgia and win out, and you are in the college football playoff.
Well, wait a minute. I thought we were predicting Kirby Smart to go 5-7 this year. Are we not doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, not me. No.
Okay. Well, I am. You heard it, Georgia. Put it in the locker room, bulletin board material, 5-7 Kirby Smart. I would count it as the achievement of my life if my picture, my dumb, goofy face, it ended up in the Georgia locker room and just like a tweet that was Georgia's going 5-7 this year.
Yeah.
That would be achievement of my life.
Here's a hot take. Lose to Georgia, you don't have to play in the SEC championship, and you'll probably get a home game for the college football playoff.
Yeah, it's true. Also, I am gonna wait. I thought no, you don't get the home. Are there not buys? for the
Yeah, I'm saying you
What'd you
lose
say?
to Georgia.
lose to Georgia. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want you to lose to Georgia, but if it comes to that, man, just imagine a college football playoff atmosphere in Neyland. There would be nothing like it. Nothing would replicate it.
I think I get close here to locker room material. We just got to get in Kirby Smart's hands. I said, no doubt in my mind, Georgia's going 5-7 this season. Kirby's run is dead.
Okay. I like that.
I would also like to be abundantly clear to those maybe a little confused. I do not believe that.
Yeah, some people were like, is this guy serious?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Georgia is – I haven't seen what their entire schedule is, but I got to imagine it's good. Also on the Alabama thing real quick, I think Kalen DeBoer is a really good football coach. He doesn't get Washington to where he's at or where they were at without being one. My questions for him at Alabama are more so, how long do the growing pains last? If they just lasted this spring and summer, not
Who's
good.
going to play defensive back for them?
Yeah, and I think there's also a lot of just questions. He's not Nick Saban. Like, I'm sitting here going, Saban will figure it out. Will they go to national championship? Maybe not, but they'll win a lot of ball games. They'll be a good team. For Kalen DeBoer, I just want to know, how long do the growing pains last, being the new Alabama coach behind Nick Saban? And honestly, I would love nothing more. Nothing against Kalen DeBoer, except for he's a head coach at Alabama. I would love the growing pains lasted like 2 to 3 years, and they fired him. And they were in just a state of just terribleness that we have had to suffer through for more than a decade. Mark, why did you write that before it was over?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like, but the list just continues to pile up of DBs leaving Alabama, and a lot of that has to do with Nick Saban.
Well, Nick Saban couldn't even get.
But I feel like these guys like leaving now, they've had plenty of time to like meet DeBoer and kind of figure out what. I mean, I don't know. It's just a weird kind of.
This isn't Nick Saban leaving. The reason they're leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be part of it, but it's not like he's gone, I'm gone.
Yeah, it's like maybe those guys were on the fence. They went through spring practice, and I think when you have guys going the other direction after a spring practice, that's not a great look. Now, I could be totally wrong, but it seems very strange that you're losing not only like DBs, because you're going to lose a lot of guys, but just like the amount of talent that you're losing. I mean, Caleb Downs, he didn't come there to play at Alabama. He came there to play for Nick Saban. I mean, as soon as Nick Saban announced his retirement, he's like, I'm out. I'm gone.
See ya.
But yeah, these guys hitting the portal right now, it's especially those young guys that, in 2 years, they're in the NFL first rounders because they played defensive back at Alabama. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
Right.
Before we move on, I do want to talk about a game that's kind of sneaky because of the way they've done good in the transfer portal, got a new quarterback, and that's NC State. Neutral side, but kind of a home game for NC State in a way.
Definitely there's also the element of last time I was in Charlotte, did not have fun.
Yeah, PTSD a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, take that back. Last time I was in Charlotte, great time. Well, horrible time, great outcome. The time before that, awful. Because I did get to see us beat Texas in Charlotte. So, sorry, Rick Barnes. I apologize for that. It was not a slight. I do think Josh Heupel could probably throw a football better than you. Basketball, good question. I don't know if you saw that today was it the Big Orange Caravan in Nashville?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, it's a good exchange. Right before Josh Heupel comes on, Rick Barnes said they play the coaches play basketball at lunch every day, and he asked an assistant why he won't guard Heupel. The assistant told Rick Barnes that, which I'm sure all of this is made up, if not weird but funny, that he said none of us are allowed within 5 feet of Heupel, so he can't guard him close.
Yeah, he's in a bubble.
Yeah,
no one touch him.
Cannot defend and or foul the head coach. Especially, I mean, listen, if you're a grad assistant, like, come on, man, you're trying to get paid next year. Like, you can't do that to the head coach. He's either hiring you or writing you a recommendation letter. You let that man make as many threes as he wants.
You think Gaston Moore plays with him?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like he's like a coach at this point. Also,
Yeah.
don't understand the this is kind of a stupidity, but top quarterback units not including Tennessee and Gaston Moore. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, they must have. Listen, they don't watch that spring game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, it's just going to take one throw late in one game for them to recognize, oh, we messed up. Yeah, I think that is a sneaky game with Grayson McCall and NC State. I don't think they were a pretty good team before, and then they've added some decent transfers. So I think that game has gotten a little bit more interesting. We'll see. I also think that's a big game because, like, that's your first real challenge.
Yeah.
Nico, Dylan Sampson as RB1, Brew McCoy being back, that secondary. I mean, there a lot of questions that we have could be answered or during that game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree, but I also don't like the absolute disrespect for the Chattanooga Mocs. So I'm going to just not say anything about that one.
If that's a game, I think the NC State game is going to not be fun at all.
You never know. I mean, Austin Peay was probably one of our more fun home games last year.
Bowling Green a couple years ago. You remember how terrible that was?
I wasn't at the Thursday night opener. I wasn't there. Thankfully.
Yeah. God.
I didn't want to get hit with a Joe Milton ball in Section L, row 46. that was landing territory, so I missed that one.
Tough game. All right, so do you want to go? I don't think I mentioned my ceiling. I feel like I'm around what you are. I think ceiling is probably 11-1 because of Alabama coming to Tennessee. I also think the floor is probably. I mean, the floor is the worst you can do. I feel like 8-4 is not really the floor. I think more of 7-5 probably is.
Well, I don't necessarily look at it as the worst you can do because I don't disagree. There are 5 chances for you to. I mean, I guess there's 12 chances for you to lose, but like 5 chances. Like if you told me that happened, would I be upset? Sure. Shocked? Maybe not. I look at ceiling as kind of like what you, or ceiling and floor, kind of like what you should do. Worst case scenario for like or floor, what worst case scenario for a good season. And then I look at ceiling as like everything went 100% right.
Yeah. That's
kind of how I view it. So I think you can have a similar to this season, a okay season and be 8-4.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not ready to fire anybody. You go 7-5. Let me see how it all happened. But I mean, your boy might be. I might be getting interviewed on CNN for tearing down flags and starting protesting quads. I mean, you think this Palestine stuff is good? Well, let me lose a few more football games. I want to win, but no, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just think, even 8-4 is. I think it's like the worst Josh Heupel should do this year, and I want to almost say 9-3. I almost want to say it.
Yeah, I think I would project 9-3, but also like
I think that's what keeps me away from it is I probably project 9-3.
Yeah, I think your DBs that's a huge question mark, but I do think the offense is more explosive. I think they have more talent there. Now running back is thin, got to stay healthy at running back.
Yeah,
O-line, quarterback, but if you do stay relatively healthy, I feel like 9-3 is probably where you're at. You probably lose a game that you probably shouldn't have. And like you said earlier, that's kind of what's happened up to this point.
Yeah. And it's also May 1st. Like I'm going to change my tune July. I'm going to be really fired up. We're going 11-1. And then by the first game, like I probably will have us going 7-5 or something stupid. So
right.
It is what it is.
Also, Vols Slim Jimmy said, got to watch later, boys, but keep it up. I enjoy the content. Appreciate you listening in, Slim Jimmy.
What was it? Slim Jimmy?
Vols Slim Jimmy, yeah.
Also, there is I don't know if this is new, but Macho Man Randy Savage, I guess, is the like poster child of Slim Jim now. The Weigels at Boyd's Creek has the coolest. It's a Macho Man Randy Savage figurine, but it's huge, and they put like the huge Slim Jims in them, and I want it. I want it bad.
Take it.
You think if I took all
like $100 bill and just be like, keep the change?
I bet if I walked in and offered $100 I bet they would. That's a good call. I gotta start using money more, motivate people.
Yeah, at least make you tell them no, and then sure. Like the next time you go in, you're gonna have to up it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if I said, "Hey, here's $100," I will act like I'm stealing it, so you can tell your supervisor that it was stolen, not that you sold it for $100.
Yeah. Also, turn the cameras off,
please, or at least go in and make the lighting to where, like, turn the lights off so they can't see my face very well. So I'm not like getting posted on Facebook like, look out for this guy. He's stealing Slim Jim statues.
This is what you do. You buy one Slim Jim, paying cash with a little note. I'm taking that thing. How much cash back should I ask for?
This is getting bank robbery-esque. I like it. Weigel, sponsor the podcast, or I am robbing you of your Macho Man Randy Savage statues. It's happening.
Yeah.
It's awesome, too. It's not like a little cheapy thing. I mean, it's well built, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Also, shout out, no more squirrels in my attic.
Okay. I thought, did Squirrel Weigel's connection get you there? I thought you were going to tell me something about it. Okay.
Yeah. It was close to, I guess, kind of a Buc-ee's. It was Buc-ee's before we had Buc-ee's, I guess.
How did you dispose of said?
I'm not going to disclose that because I feel like either way I would have done it is now illegal. So I'm not going to tell you how I did it.
Like it got put into law today now illegal, or you maybe looked it up after?
Looked it up after.
Allegedly, you did something that may or may not have been illegal. Allegedly.
There's no more squirrels.
Actually, let's go better on this. There were never squirrels in your attic. These were all hypotheticals.
Yeah, it was a metaphor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now you people understand.
You cannot be a part of.
Yes. Bingo. Let's talk a little ball baseball. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Guys, rough game last night.
But it's midweek. Shake it off. Move past it.
It's a midweek, and if you really want to look at midweeks, I mean, let's look no further than our next opponent in Florida and see how good they've done in their midweek games.
And you never want to lose. Right. It's never fun to lose, but it's also one that it's a baseball season, number one. Don't hang your hat on it, but don't hang your hat on one game, period. So big series this weekend for a lot of reasons. One of them being that this is a series you should absolutely win.
Yeah, I mean, Florida is a good baseball team. They have talent. They just haven't been able to put it together and win series. They are 23-21 on the year. So you go in there and win a series, you're making Florida 500 for the year. This team is absolutely going to kick themselves later on for getting swept by that Missouri team. But then they have Kentucky after this. Then they have Georgia. So, I mean, it doesn't get any easier for the Florida Gators. Now, I think their president or something is now on the board of the college baseball selection committee, of course. So they probably get in regardless of what their record is. But yeah, I mean, I just don't see if Tennessee wins this series with what Florida has left, I think you can pretty much say goodnight that they're not making it to the NCAA tournament, or they shouldn't. Right. Now, SEC bias is SEC bias, and this conference is a gauntlet. I understand, but when you're 16-9 at home, you're 9-12 in the conference. I mean, you shouldn't be given an opportunity to play in the postseason, in my opinion. One thing for Tennessee is like they got to get those bats going again. Got to get back to hitting home runs. I know Billy Amick finally came through late last night, but man, it's been a rough go. And I understand like there's some fatigue for sure with this team, and hopefully just getting that game over with. You played some guys, you started some guys that normally won't play on the weekends. Peebles hadn't played a whole lot. Backus hadn't played a whole lot. Reese Chapman got the start. I mean, it was just from the get-go, it was a tough go. You didn't pitch well. I thought Dylan Lloyd pitched okay. Other than that, Marcus Phillips got hammered. Matthew Dallas got hit up a little bit, and I think the second inning he pitched. So it just wasn't good all the way around. And Tennessee's got to do more with runners on. I mean, having the bases loaded, no outs, and getting one run out of it against a team that's 500 and what are they, the A-Sun or whatever they're in, just not a good look. So need to get those bats going again. Striking out needs to stop. Put the ball in play, especially when you have runners on like that. I mean, give yourself a chance a little bit. But going up there and whiffing on 3 pitches just isn't – that hasn't been Tennessee all year, so I don't know what it's a question mark to me. The only thing I can think of is fatigue. Getting these Thursday series started, and you got to play a midweek, and then you get a day of travel pretty much, and then you're playing again. So it is tough, but hopefully, the pitching staff kind of comes together and all is well with Tennessee this weekend in Gainesville. They got you last year, so you got that revenge, but the last time you were in Gainesville, you swept them and put on the Gator helmet. So I'm sure they're going to want to beat your brains in, and they have to win. Like they are.
Yeah. They're definitely backs against the wall territory.
Right. Yeah. Got to win.
Yeah, and also kind of going back to the midweek, I think also part of the story is that's just kind of how baseball seasons go. I think Tennessee's been spoiled in how they performed in midweeks. So that's just part of it. But yeah, this is a very talented Florida team all over the board. I mean, you have one of the best baseball players in the country on their team. But in terms of how the teams look right now, Tennessee should absolutely win the series, and it's not going to necessarily be easy to take care of business. But at the end of the day, especially if you want to see a team that, and I'm not saying they have to be in perfect postseason form right now, but a team that wants to go deep in the postseason, you should see fighters that go and win a series this week.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team who can put up some runs if you let them tee off on you. You put them on base, and Jack Caglione can get his. But they're also a team that struggles keeping other teams off the base paths. They lost a lot of pitching last year and didn't replicate in the transfer portal, so I think it's been a rough go for them. And, I'm excited to see what Tennessee does. I feel like Missouri, you swept them. I feel like Tennessee needs a bounce back. Like Tennessee didn't play their best baseball last weekend. So this is a good weekend to bounce back, and doing it against beating Florida in anything is just great. You love it.
Yeah.
So you keep on doing that, and you're setting yourself up for a national seed. And man, just being the kind of nail in the coffin for Florida not making the NCAA tournament would be so nice.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Please. And yeah, you said 16 and 9. I want to be like 16 and 12. Landon, 16 and 12.
Yeah, there you go. Speak it into existence. All right. Let's best 3 running backs in Tennessee history. Go.
Oh gosh. I was worried you were gonna ask me that. Should we go Jalen Hurts since we talked about him today? Statistically, he's pretty dang close. I would like to note that.
Yeah.
And if he had finished it out, he probably would be.
Yeah, 100% if he would have finished it out.
I assume we're doing this based on their Tennessee career as well. And
yeah.
nothing more than that. Jamal Lewis, I mean, it's got to be up there. Travis Henry, maybe.
Yeah, that's.
I would. James Stewart. At production wise, Chuck Webb, I would think would be up there.
It's a tough question.
No, it's brutal.
But I'm with you on those two. Jamal, Travis Henry. I think I would probably go Chuck Webb. But I
think it's hard for me to put. Yeah, I think it's hard for me to put someone like Alvin Kamara on there just because the production in Tennessee doesn't necessarily tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
Ton of fun to watch. Jalen Wright would be a guy that I wouldn't put probably in the top 3, but maybe you can have a conversation about after last season. Again, production doesn't quite match those other guys. I'd say a guy that matches production is, but for a number of reasons. One being the production wasn't that high, but also personal reasons above all fans. But Arian Foster's probably some of the seasons he had should probably be in conversation. Yeah, there's some good ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Is there another one? Oh, I mean, I know Aaron Hayden was part of that. James Stewart and who else was? Who was the other back on that team? Was it Chuck Webb?
I'm trying to remember what year he left.
I think Travis Stevens is another one that's up there.
Oh,
I mean,
another Travis. I forgot. I was like, who are the Travises?
Yeah.
Also, so I don't know. Have you seen any of this story about Kristen Saban?
No.
I guess we can lead off into our stupidities. I don't mean to get away from that question, but I just saw it and it's distracted me. She apparently had an affair. She's married. I didn't know that. I thought she was probably still in college, but she acts on social media.
She was having an affair with Tyrion Arnold,
a guy from The Bachelor or Bachelorette, I guess.
Oh, what's his name?
I've never heard of him, but I'm sure you might recognize it. James McCoy Taylor. But he posted on Instagram about it, and he claims he's being blackmailed. He has a picture of them kissing, though. Posted on Instagram. He said there's more pictures, too. I don't know what that means. But, yeah, apparently. And then, I don't know. It's crazy, though. And she apparently deleted her Twitter. So.
I don't know who James McCoy, you said?
Yeah.
Or James McCoy Taylor?
James McCoy Taylor. I don't know. Wild. I don't really care about it, but I thought it was, funny nonetheless. Again, I was shocked that she's married with a kid because I thought she was probably still in college. I got a couple stupidities, though.
Okay.
I don't mean to kind of circle back, but have you heard any of this about the South Dakota governor?
No.
Okay, so she is also, I don't know if she still is, but was being considered as a running mate for Donald Trump. I guess she wrote a book at some point, and in this book, she describes killing a hunting dog herself. And Landon, the absolute absurdity of this story. So try to keep it short. She tells a story about getting this dog, I think named Cricket. She says just wasn't a good dog. She takes, I believe it's a girl named Cricket. By the way, Cricket, very boy name to me, especially dog. Daughter, maybe. But she takes it hunting as a puppy. I don't know, like 6 months old, something like that. Apparently, she says just terrorized the hunt. Like, she's just real excited about the birds and just messing up the hunt and the other dogs and how they were working. And she's like, oh, this dog just doesn't know how to hunt, which I would argue probably not training it well. So she says after that hunt, they're on their way home. They stop at a neighbor's house or someone on the way. She gets out of the car to talk to the neighbors. And at some point, I guess Cricket's gate to his, the crate in the back of the truck wasn't closed. Cricket got out, attacked all these chickens, was just killing numerous chickens. She once again, just says that's a bad dog. Again, would argue training and would also argue shut his gate. Would argue that. She then says the next day she said when she went to grab him from the chickens, he turned to bite her. He doesn't say that she did bite her, but that's unclear. She says the next day she realized that this dog was the worst hunting dog she ever had and could no longer do its job. So she took it to a gravel pit after her kids went to school and shot it and killed it with a shotgun.
Oh my God.
What? And I know that some, especially people who live and work and in the, out in the rural areas, like I understand how they put animals down. It's not euthanization like a city folk. And I get it, and I'm not blaming, but like that dog's 6 months old. Everything you described sounds like you didn't train it well. Sounds like you didn't take responsibility as a pet owner. And then you went and shot it with a shotgun.
And then you obviously told people that you did that.
She wrote it in a book. and again, you shoot it when it's attacking the chickens, feel very differently about it. Like you feel like it's unsafe for you to reach in there. You already reached your hand in and grabbed at it. It doesn't sound like the dog bit you. Wild story. I feel like there were so many routes that lady could have taken. She also says, I believe, I don't know if I saw this as an excerpt, but apparently was using it as a example of her leadership. So she just like murders people when they don't do their job. Also, I feel like you shouldn't have to use these metaphors like we described earlier to describe your leadership. I feel like you being a governor of a state should kind of define your leadership pretty well. So just an absolute banana story that was written in ink. I don't know if you could base, like there would be very few facts that would make me change my mind on the outcome of that situation.
Good Lord.
Also, you do live in the country. You have, I presume, farm animals. So you probably have a vet on dial that you could probably call to euthanize it if you really want to go that route. I'm not saying she should have, but maybe using a shotgun isn't the route to go either. It's just blowing this dog's head off, I guess.
Yeah, maybe just take it to the pound. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's just not a hunting dog. Maybe train it better to not attack chickens. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I know, most hunting dogs are trained well, but to be fair, we're talking about a puppy who's probably not been through all the training, gets free, just got done. Its entire job is to go and fetch birds. It sees birds. I see where this dog's tracking. I can relate.
Yeah.
See bird, go get bird. Why not? The twist, that is a wild story. And then to be like, this is an example of my leadership. What?
Have you seen the Deion Sanders stuff going on?
I'm curious your take. I have. This was gonna be one of mine, but I'm curious like where we align. So I'm
okay. I mean, my thing is like just be quiet. I mean,
okay.
if you're Shadur and Deion, just like, why are you even entertaining this?
Right, because we don't even know if the facts that Xavier, what's his last name? Smith. We don't even know if what he's saying is true, but the way they're responding, I'm going to go with they are.
Yeah, and like the guy left. Like, obviously, there's stuff probably going to be said. Majority of guys aren't going to be like, oh, yeah, it was great, but I left. Like, and that doesn't really happen.
And also, like, they're in different situations, they probably don't speak like this about a program and their coaches. They're probably more like abstract about it and leave things to interpretation. But also, you have invited so much attention on yourself that you have to expect the negative attention too. And it's not like Deion paints it. I don't dislike Deion, but what I do find annoying is that he paints it like it's all negative attention, and that's just not true.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't understand why it's a huge deal. I mean, the guy was like, I was actually getting mad, like tears coming to my eyes because, bro, you never even tried to get to know me. And then he was like, he's destroying guys, blah, blah, blah. And then he was destroying guys' confidence. And then Shedeur comes back and says, I don't even remember him, to be honest. Bro had to be very mid at best.
Which, again,
and like
what he's
I
saying is now
understand, like to that point, if you're a player on a football team, I think as a coach, yeah, you have like good relationships with probably some more than others, but you try to get to know every player. Like, and I've been at a college program. Now, it wasn't Colorado, but I didn't have a relationship really with the head coach. And like, whatever, it happened. Oh well, I'm okay about it. I didn't go on social media and bash the guy because we didn't have a relationship. But also, you have your. It seems like Shedeur is like fighting for his dad. Like, no one's going to say a bad word about Dion.
Right. And part of being a coach is like you're going to have players that say this stuff about you.
Yeah.
You kind of get the choice whether you're going to respond to that stuff or not and how you respond to it. And I think it's been very lousy. It's embarrassing. I think it's been embarrassing for the Sanders family as a whole. And I think it's a little unfortunate for Shedeur because I would criticize a player if they acted like this. I wouldn't criticize the coach because of the player's actions. And Dion's been just as guilty as Shedeur, so I'm criticizing about that as well. But I'm also thinking, Dion, your adult son's acting like this. And I know you can't tell him what to do, but did you never teach him how to act?
Right. Well, and that's not even the stupidity. Well, that kind of is, but the biggest one is Caleb Mathis comes in, a wide receiver for Colorado, and shows a clip. I don't know why he's filming a clip of this Xavier Smith, but he has it, and said he was laughing emoji. And it was him it looks like he was like the guys were just running routes and he was just like in a position, but the guy catches the ball, whatever. And he was like, and then his thing is he is 5'9", 165, freshman wide receiver, had 6 catches for 38 yards. You can't be saying somebody's mid when you have 6 catches for 38 yards.
Right. Yeah. No, not allowed.
So
you got to keep that one quiet and to yourself. You can say that to your friends. You can send that over to them. You can't tweet that.
Yeah. I just think a lot of this it just seems like high school drama with Colorado. And I don't think that's a good look at all, to just be putting stuff out on social media like that.
No, I don't disagree. Don't disagree. I very much agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make a comment to this Ronnie Hall comment, because no, I'm not talking about this because she's a Republican. I only mentioned she was a Republican for a moment. In fact, I didn't say those exact words. It's just assumed in context. But no, Ronnie, I didn't. I think it was an incredibly stupid thing to do. I voted for Republicans in like 95% of the elections I've voted for. But no, I don't just side with people because they kind of agree with me and then don't call them stupid when they're stupid. I hope you're not the same way, because I don't know you, Ronnie, but I'm going to assume you're not stupid. So I hope when Republicans, because I'm assuming you're a Republican, act stupid, that you're willing to call them stupid. I draw a line in the sand, not on political alliances, but on stupidity, because I'm sick of the stupidity of this world. But I'm sorry for bashing your Queen Republican. I'll shut up about Sarah Palin now. I hate politics so much. Oh, Democrats and Republicans are so mean. But Republicans are so nice and Democrats are so sweet and nice because I'm a Democrat, because I'm a Republican. Shut up. Be a human being for once. She's an idiot. Moving on.
Guys, go check out our good friends Roback. Roback.com. Use promo code More Important Issues for 20% off your first purchase. Great time to buy some golf polos, but they have polos, hoodies, joggers, t-shirts, shorts, pants, whatever you need. They got it. Go check them out at Roback.com. Use promo code More Important Issues for 20% off your first purchase. Anything else?
I would just like to apologize for that rant, but I would like to state it was anti-political, not political.
Yeah.
Just would like to put that on there. But I do apologize.
If you can't take care of
I
a
do not
dog,
apologize.
just admit it and take
Yeah.
it to the pound like a normal person.
Right. And regardless of your political
It
alliances.
has nothing to do with how you vote for anything.
Yeah. In fact, you know what? I think I think you should have a license to have dogs more so than children at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, guys.
Actually,
Thank y'all.
strangely enough, I shared something the other day about like chaining up dogs. This has nothing to do with like that stuff, but I don't know. I just feel, and I know I guess I don't see them 24 hours a day, but man, it just sucks to see. And I know I treat my dog more like a human than I should, but they are man's best friend.
Yeah. I feel like over the years, it's gotten more common where all dogs are inside dogs. Like you don't see really a lot of outside dogs anymore. So
Right. I will be changing on my next dog. Like I'm going your route. No couch, no bed. I can't do it to my 11-year-old dog now. I feel like that's
he's
cruel
like,
and
"What?"
unusual punishment.
Yeah.
But the next dog will not have those. He will be treated. He or she will be treated well, but not like king of the castle.
Yeah, if you took that away, he'd probably prefer just getting shot at a gravel pit somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not shooting my next dog in a gravel pit, but he's not getting a king size bed.
Yeah,
that's done.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back Sunday talking about the series in Gainesville. Also, we'll be up to date with all the transfer portal news and stuff like that. So go check us out. And we're bringing the boat in, and we out.